Edgar, and their baby makes 3. Catherine's brother is the jerk, known as Hindley. Heathcliff is named after some dead child by Catherine's father, who rescues him before he becomes wild. Hindley goes away, but comes back when he inherits. He's a man of bad temper, with very few merits. He marries a woman who has TB. They have a kid. His name is Hareton. His mom will never see. Hindley, now bitter, rules the house with a heavy hand, and Heathcliff is sent to work on the land. Catherine is groomed for a moneyed marriage. To Edgar's house she goes, in the family carriage. There's something wrong with Catherine, she's paler than most. Walking around, she already looks like a ghost. Edgar's sister is the girl called Isabella. When it's time to fall in love, she's aware of one fella. Isabella may be pretty, she may even have a dimple, but her understanding of character is really quite simple. She elopes with Heathcliff after one night she regrets, but as fate would have it, a child she begets. Linton is born near London town. His mom is sick, his health is bad, his dad is rarely around. When his mom dies, it's really sad, but he's a bit of a jerk, and now he lives with his dad. Not enough so far of Kathy, we've said. She's the baby who's born the night Catherine gets dead. Her dad is Edgar, and he's still alive. She's a feisty girl, hell-bent to survive. When it's time to fall in love, 2 cousins are around. Hareton or Linton, her judgment is not sound. She marries Linton, it cannot be repealed. When Daddy Edgar dies, her fate is sealed. Now the daughter-in-law of Heathcliff, true, she got the temper of Catherine, whom Heathcliff loved and knew. The death of Linton widows her, and the estate from her dad to Heathcliff transfers. Mistress of nothing, young Kathy, hell-bent, is slow to pick up on where Hareton went. He's been waiting in the wings, his story barely started. But soon the 2 cannot be parted. When Heathcliff finally dies, young Kathy inherits. Hareton turns out to have a few good merits. It's the happy ending for which we've waited, the only love which the stars of the heath have fated. Emily Bronte delved into the deep at 28 years old to ask, what is love? And how does it live within the soul? Put on your dress and don your cape as we go on a journey to an ancient landscape. Your pants smell of horses, your jacket of soot. Where there is no road, you will go on foot. Beautiful, bleak hills blown by the sea, brambles catch a skirt, wide vistas, little heat. And there below your feet are 2 rocks for every dirt. Unprotected and weather-worn, beyond the hill you'll hear a hunting horn. Hamlets and villages made of stone, an old house in ruins was once a home. Beautiful, bleak hills blown by the sea, the brambles catch a skirt, wide vistas, little heat. And there below your feet are 2 rocks for every dirt. In this time, in this place, there is a destiny for 2 souls growing crooked as a twisted tree. The erotic life force propels the soul through love toward death. We turn our thoughts to the heathen, sensual Catherine and Heathcliff. asked. But what did he bring? Where did he come from, the little brown thing? It was Heathcliff, age 7, rescued from the street, and his new family began to feel his heat. Catherine, age 6, is where this story begins. She took to Heathcliff like an evil twin. With the innocence of youth before one ever knows, they romped on the heath, choke full of primrose. 2 children grow tangled in their sensuality, an older brother mangled by his jealousy. A kind father dies on a forlorn night to leave these 3 undone, looking for a fight. The weather broke, sleet and snow. The larks were silent, wind blowing cold. This is what happens to people who are not whole. They find something outside to complete themselves. Light or shadow, without love, without thread. 2 broken hearts began to mend. Extended adagio. They take center stage as they slowly become one. Light and shadow. Oh, light and shadow. Light and shadow. She's pinched me on the cheek, says I. I love to look into the eye. There's often something wild about her mane. I've spoiled you, yes, it's true, says I know you love me if I can make you cry. You're not as brave as me to play that game. Demon child, or simply wild, no mommy to wipe our face. In heath and ramble, we love to gamble. Our passions turn to ravages. Let's grow up savages. That's rude the way that you behave. When I grow up, you'll be my slave. A king and nothing less to you I'll be. When I come near, your limbs grow slack. Come closer, dear, I'll brush your back. I'll chirp you like a tempest on the sea. Demon child, you're simply wild. No mommy to wipe our face. In heath and ramble, we love to gamble. Our passions turn to ravages. Let's grow up savages. Hindley is master of Wuthering Heights, with a heart as black as anthracite, most wayward, spiteful, and violent of them all. He tastes revenge with every blow. Heathcliff proud, brought so low, and Catherine's temper nearly folderol. Heathen man, as heathen man, Catherine's brother will set the pace, as chief hater and perpetrator, a snake about to spray. He's the savage king. In another house, more genteel, lived a brother and sister with much less zeal, unaware of their ill-fated star, Edgar and Isabella. With parents dead, left on their own to choose a spouse and make a home. They didn't know that they were playing with fire. 2 quiet kids played quietly till their quiet life became history. The ship of life was cast adrift when he married Catherine, and she Heathcliff. Ow! Just bring it here and I'll show you what to do. Don't you think it's just some sort of disaster? Frost and fire. Heathcliff's Lament. You played me as your pet, some bird you teach to sing. I grew up to expect you give me everything. I'm so hungry enough to cry, so hungry for your love, babe. There's lightning in the sky. I'm gonna run away. Wake up every morning, feel the darkness and shame. I look for my next victim, someone to share my pain. I'm just a man, darling, and you put me to the test. how to take this heavy weight off my chest. I will keep on walking till I've walked around the world. But the truth keeps walking beside me, says you're my only girl. I'm so hungry, stay up and out at night, so hungry for your love, and I dream I hold you tight. Don't run away. Don't run away. Listen what I say. Don't, I dream I hold her tight. Don't, I dream I hold her tight. Don't, I dream I hold her tight. Catherine's Lament. When I held the key to Edgar's heart, I knew that money could play its part to lift both you and me from poverty. But the schemes of my foolish heart were only brief. The sun did warm us when you stood by my side. Chose to run away when the only thing I heard was your cry. Well, I cried my tears a long time ago. I married Edgar, just didn't know. But how's a wife supposed to live when her love is untrue? Secret thoughts like roots entwined with you. The sun did warm us when you stood by my side. You chose to run away when the only thing I heard was your cry. Time torn in pieces now. 3 years later you returned, but life got complicated when you married a girl you only hated. Time torn in pieces now. Visions of madness in my head. With a husband devout, I'd rather die than live without. My soul, hold my hand, you'll see it's growing cold. The sun did warm us when you stood by my side. You chose to run away when the only thing I heard was your pride. In which Catherine dies. Heathcliff loved Catherine, she was more than a friend. But Catherine called the shot, said this love was a dead end. Catherine, and Catherine, it's more than half a sin to love Catherine. She married for comfort, she married for grace, while he would roam the world acting like he owned the place. Catherine, it's more than half a sin to love Catherine. When he couldn't stand to be apart anymore, he showed back up at her brother's front door. Now brother gambled, drank, and nearly went mad until Heathcliff owned everything he had. Now more than a neighbor, less than a friend, he made his march across the heath to see the end of Catherine. It's more than half a sin to love Catherine. His love, his girl, the only woman he ever loved in the whole wide world. And she took to her grave the love she kept from him. 2 hearts forsaken, fruitless love he bore. He'd settle the score. His love devout, she just held out. Never a day would she betray. With life and limb, she longed for him. He could have had her, but she's a cadaver. The end of the life of a lovesick wife. The sad, untimely death of Catherine. Without her, I took on the work of Lucifer. I delight in the hatred that I incur. I hate and love. Why do I do it, you might ask? You see, I I don't know, but I feel it happening to me. Without her, I took on the work of Lucifer. Her daughter, my son, I keep them prisoner. I hate and love, why do I do it, you might ask, you see? I don't know, but I feel it happening. There's a monster inside.
I feel it happening.
I'm obsessed with her.
I feel it happening.
I see the coward and hide.
I feel it happening. I feel it happening.
There's a monster inside.
I feel it happening.
There's a monster inside. My anger only grows, it devours me, it's never sated. Let them feel what it's like to be tormented and berated. Some people cannot be rehabilitated. There's a monster inside, the monster she created. You think that my temper gets the best, but you never met Catherine, the tempter and the tempest. Could it be, when they were born, one soul in two was exactly torn and placed in bodies, his and hers? Now one is dead, but the other half stirs. Or is this what purest love resembles? Not face or form or flowing tendrils, but sadness, mere madness in the night, when the ghost and the living seek to unite. Come, Ghost Catherine, tell us, what crime did you abet? What destiny was thwarted? How weighs on you such debt? Again, I feel that chill, the hour of my torment. But once again, I hear her weep, her wild impassioned midnight argument. She's writhing in his bed, possessed by my desire. Unfinished business with the dead, I impale her soul as it's me that she devours. Every breath I take only keeps us apart. I'm sure to slowly die from my broken heart. A shadow of hope, another electric hour. I'm standing in the cold, my tears will damn you, eyes full of black fire. Whatever souls are made of, yours and mine are the same. The blackness in the nose had to betray. My own tears have damned me, I'm only a slave to the love I kept hidden till I went to my grave. In heaven you're miserable, no master who you serve. Are you in heaven or is it hell? Break your heart with weeping, that's what you deserve. Every breath I take only keeps us apart. I'm sure you slowly die from my broken heart. Turn me once, turn me twice, turn me in your grave, won't it be nice? They call me half civilized, when they put me in your grave, won't it be nice? Heathcliff died finally, and it was just in time, so that the few remaining survivors of his reign of terror could begin their lives anew, pulling happiness like a root from the ground. and the holy ground where she was buried was secretly made unholy. His living accomplice opened the grave of Catherine, the beloved, and laid Heathcliff's tormented body, meat, gristle, and bones, beside her. The logging finally consummated. Death is so terrifying, so unfathomable, that to realize you are not dead is a thrill. So welcome to the living. Grab your horse and ride through time. Gallop past Prince Albert and Queen Victoria. Take a train, a car, a plane, safe landing in the present. But in that place, the wind still blows and the air is chill. A graveyard still sits on a lonely hill. In quiet earth, unquietly, two souls became the shape of one lonely tree.
Yay.
Man, that was short.